one thing that I've found it hard to come to terms with the fact that a lot of people classify addiction as a disease, and I've always been on the fence about whether that is the case. Um, but the more I read about it, and going through addiction firsthand so heavily, I understand why it is classified that way by some people. Not everyone. Some people don't think it's that. But the thing is, when you cross over into addiction, it is a massive spectrum. You can be on the spectrum of addiction where you have a strong will and have strong self-control, but you can be on the extreme side where you literally have no say in what you do, and it does get that severe. And unless you've been through it yourself, it's really hard to really understand that notion that you have no choice. But when you have been through it, it does get that bad. If you let yourself spiral out of control so much, there's it when you go into addiction, it awakens literally this other monster that lives inside you. It's like, say, they say you can, it can run in your family and stuff like that. Addiction does run in my family. I have a lot of family members who are alcoholics and stuff like that. So the way that I see it is, everybody has that potential inside them. It is like this demon that's sitting in a cage, and you say you flirt with drinking a fair bit, or you dabble in drugs. Depending on who you are, that demon that's in that cage grows and becomes stronger, and it's always a part of you. But depending on who you are, how much you use, and where your mental state is at, that is the defining factor on how strong that demon becomes. So I can only speak from my own experience, for me personally, but going so hard for so many years where I was just partying, for me it didn't start for me wanting to escape anything. All I was doing was partying every weekend. It was a massive bender. And as the music career started to get quite popular and successful, and a lot of money came in, it just was all the time. The party was literally all the time, and it was a lot of fun. I'm not going to lie. It was great. But as it progressed over the years, it was interesting because I was partying with a lot of friends, and a lot of my friends went super hard with me, and we had a great time. But then they were able to just say, all right, I've had enough, I've done this for so long now, it's time for me to stop. Where for me personally, I would just go, like, okay, I'm on to the next group of friends that were down to do it, and just kept doing that for fucking years, like probably a decade or something like that. And for me, that made this demon inside me just awaken and become like fucking Hulk Hogan or the Incredible Hulk. It dominated my mind by the end of it. It turned from all fun and just living that life that you dream of when you're making music. I romanticized being a rock star. I looked up to people like Anthony Kiedis. I read that book, and in my mind, I romanticized being a heroin addict. I thought that was going to be an amazing life to live. I wanted to be a rock star. You know what I mean? And it's quite sad to think back on now, but I lived it, completely. I mean, I'm not talking about the success that they had on a worldwide level. I'm talking about I let myself become an addict because I thought, as twisted as this sounds, I thought that lifestyle was exactly what I wanted, and I got it, you know. There's nothing more dangerous than an addict with a lot of money, you know, and that's what happened. And that's how things went for me. That's where direction that my whole life just went, you know. And the best analysis that I've heard, and the best way to explain it. It's so hard to explain addiction to someone who doesn't understand it. There can be people who can kind of get it because they've been around someone who's an addict or someone who's in recovery. But if you haven't actually experienced crossing over that line and awakening that demon inside you, it's impossible to understand. It's no way near as simple. It's not as simple as just saying no, because when you cross over, you don't have that choice. And the best analysis that I heard was, if you've ever been to Bali, or say if you've been to Bali or Thailand or somewhere like that, and you go to the markets where they sell a lot of rip-off stuff, and there's a lot of these stalls around, right? And as you walk through for your first time, say, this is a metaphor. There's these people that run these shops, and they're at the front of the shop, and they talk to you, and they, you know, because you want to be nice and polite and you've never experienced it before, you go into this shop, and you might find some stuff that you like, see some stuff and like, yes, I want that. So you try it. That's like that's like the little voice inside you talking to you about dabbling in drugs, right? So you dabble with that vendor, and you get that amazing rip-off jacket that should be $1,000, but you get it for $50 or something like that. And then you come back because you want more. The more that you entertain these people selling these items, which the people are the voices, and the items that they're selling are drugs. So the more stuff that you buy, the more comfortable you are with these people talking and trying to get you into their shop. Some people can walk through and say, oh yeah, I like that jacket, I'll try that on. Bang. That's them done. They don't want anything else. Some people go into the shop and they're like, love that. Come back. Next day they want to do it again. And it gets to the point where it snowballs, and you reach this stage where you walk through in your head, all these people at the markets, their voices are so overpowering that you can't say no to them. So you have to go inside every single time. And that's what it's like. It's like all these voices in your head just telling you to do it. And depending where you are on the spectrum of addiction, you can't say no. And it's extremely brutal. You need to do a lot of work on yourself, and getting your soul right, and getting your head right and stuff like that. Exercise is a good thing, you know, because the stronger you get without those voices, the easier it is to say no. But when you're going through something and those voices become way more dominant inside your head, and there's, say, like, different substances have different effects. Alcohol is one of the worst, one of the most addictive drugs there are. Horrible, when you get in the state of active addiction when it comes to alcohol. That voice is really hard to beat. Another one is meth. Meth is one of the hardest, and it just digs its claws in. And I've people that can beat that. I have so much admiration for. I was never one who got super into meth where it became a strong voice in my head. I was lucky that I didn't really go down that path. For me, it was downers, it was opiates, it was benzos and stuff like that, and they're a whole nother ball game. So, but if you dabble in all these things, you have all these substances. Each of them has a voice inside of you. So, having all those demons be so strong and have such dominance in your head, getting past it is extremely hard, but it's doable. It is extremely doable. You have to put in the work, and it's extremely hard. For me, I've been going through, I've been rotating through the spectrum like a roller coaster, you know what I mean? And it's so crazy because you can be on the better side of the spectrum where you're able to say no, and you're in control, and you're strong, and you don't let it overpower you all the time. But depending on who you are, it can be any moment. Like for me, it can be just anything. It doesn't have to be something extremely bad and stressful that sets me off. I can just be driving and bang, that voice will pop into my head, and I automatically make that decision. All right, I'm doing it. I don't contemplate thinking it through. I never contemplate picking up the phone and talking to someone and saying, I feel like doing it. I've never been able to do that. It's just something that I always battle with myself. I just wanted to make this video. I'm sorry if I don't want to keep harping on about addiction and mental health and stuff like that. I don't want to be known as that guy, as, the rapper who just talks about mental health and darkness and addiction all the time. But at the same time, I've just got to talk about what's going on, and that's what I'm going to do. I think I definitely overthink what people think about me too much. It's like your opinion of me, my opinion of myself is what your opinion is of me. And I don't like that. I've got to get past that. And right now I'm sort of in a very fragile kind of sensitive state where, that voice is pretty strong. And I learned something from someone else where they were able to ignore what people thought of them and just said, what other people think of me is none of my fucking business. And I love that, and I wish I could live like that, but I can't. I think my ego is too big and just wants to be loved and liked by everyone, But yeah, I hope this video makes sense. I just wanted to do this and hopefully try and help people understand it if they don't, or whatever. If anyone's going through this, hopefully you can relate to what I'm talking about. Much love. I hope everyone's good. Hope you had a good Christmas.